Hello guys! Today is another quick tutorial and I'll talk about inheritance. It's good practice to use inheritance, even if you work with the blueprints, to make the proper pipeline for your project. The main idea of inheritance is that you have the base class which contains mostly all of the methods or functions that can be used or overridden by children that inherit from this parent class, so you don't need to copy-paste big amount of codes. Let's get started. So right now I'll show you how you can create the simple base class that will store some functions, and we will create also some children that will inherit this functionality, and I'll show you how to go along with this technique. Then I'll show you some of my examples how I actually use inheritance in my project. So first of all, you need to create the blueprint class. We'll inherit from the actor, and let's name it BP Interactable. So it's our parent class. Now all you need to do is just to press right mouse button and select Create Child Blueprint. And that's it. So now this class that inherits from our Interactable will inherit all the functionality that we will create and store inside our parent. Let's open it and make some changes. So I'll also add the sphere collision just in case of the demo. Next, I'll change the radius and make it visible in our game. And let's make some logic. Let's make on component begin overlap, and let's create the custom event and a function. The first one is custom event that I'll call do stuff version 1. Next, I'll create the function and call it do stuff version 2. So also let's make some logic that will ensure that our functionality will trigger only when we overlap with our player character. So we need to cast to third person, I mean to top down character, because I have this at the preview sample, and if the cast is successful, we'll call do stuff version 2 or version 1. Here by default this function will return the print, or let's make it more interesting, let's get player character and launch it to the air. (1,000 units). So now logic is done, and if we even if we drag and drop our child class, you can see that we don't have any functionality here, but it's all inherited from our parent. I'll show you how it will work. Something like this. So guys, even from this simple demo, you can make a conclusion that if you want to have different kinds of like interactions with different logic, you don't need to copy paste and recreate the whole this system. Systems can be like even bigger. As I said earlier, I'll show you how I made my interactionable system. That's actually is also divided to the consumable system, pick up items, etc, etc. So now let's open our child here, and right under the functions let's make override to our do stuff version 1. So now if we have this event here and we don't have any logic out of the pin, if I overlap with my child, you will see that nothing happens. But if I make my parent class here and try to overlap with it, you'll see that I'm launching. So that's how override works. Now I'll tell you more details. So if we have this event here without any other options, this will override the functionality that we have in our parent class. But if we want to have the same functionality and also add some our functionality, we can make the add to parent function call. So right now you'll see I'm launching again. Order also matters, because if we have this logic like this, and if we, let's say here, add some print, and I guess I'll make some delay for 2 seconds. Let's make our print to be more visible. You'll see that the first will trigger the logic from our parent class, then after delay you'll see that we have the print string. Yep. But if we want to firstly launch the logic from our child and only then launch the logic from our parent class, we can, or we should, make it between the parent call. So here we'll get 2 seconds delay, and after that we will have print and we will be launched the air. Like this. Now let's continue. So back to our parent class. We have a function that is called doStuff version 2. Let this function spawn the character right in the center of our map. And this will be top-down character. I guess something like this. Now I'll delete the parent class and leave only child here. Let's call this function from even from our overlap events. So we have event do stuff, we have call to parent function, so this is obvious thing, and right now we can here just search for our function that we have implemented inside our base class. Call function do stuff version 2. And as you can see, target is BP Interactable, our parent class. So we will be launched to the air, and right after this you'll see that we will trigger the function from our parent class that will spawn the character somewhere here. Let's check it. Ooh. Even more characters. Let me see what's going on. So, apparently, because we have our child class here, and we also spawn our character somewhere here, we have the logic where you can see that cast to top-down character triggers this function. So we need to make it somewhere here, and now let's try how it works. Now only one character here. Everything works fine, and the second one. Bloop. So, as you can see, you can make the base logic inside your base class. You can create child or children and use the functionality from there inside your children to make like even more interesting logic. The good example is like the interactable, like the interactable door, elevator, pickup item, etc. So base class can have the functionality for like showing up the widget and for like handling the interaction. So each interactable can store the amount of seconds you need to interact with the object to make it interactable. Also like having the weapon class that can store structures with some like damage, particle effect that should appear when the weapon is triggered, and so on and so forth. You can override functions, like functions custom events that are nearly the same as the functions. You can implement the interface inside the base class, and all the methods that are implemented inside the base class will also be inherited by its children. So that's like a good way to build your proper pipeline to work with the project. So what else? So our interactable class, our base class, let's for instance make the variable which is called health, make it float, and let's say it has 100 units. Now when we compile, if we open our child and we open our class default, you can see by default we have the health 100. So if we like use event begin play, let's print health. You'll see 100. Or if you don't like see it clearly, one more time. So everything that is inside your parent class is inherited and can be overwritten. Even like we have the sphere, you can see that it's inherited. We can change its size like this. We can actually make it without any collision. So even if we have the logic which tells us to call the parent function that's actually launch our character to the air with this collision disabled, won't trigger at all. So let me show you. Now you can see that the area of effect is a little bit smaller, but it has no collision. So I can actually show you how interface will also work. Let's create the interface. Let's call it BPI Interactable and implement the function that will return our health. Get health, and the output health float. Save. Now let's go to our parent class, open our class settings and implement our interface. Once you've implemented, you can see on your left here you can have get health function and it returns by default 0. Let's provide our variable, and now let's select our child. Let's go back to the collision preset and we can actually delete call to parent function, leave event do stuff, or let's actually make some sort of override also on component begin overlap. Let's print our health, but not like this. We can actually call get health like this. Now let's see. Oops, I forgot that if you don't override the basic function, even if with this one it won't work. So this should be done in other way as I showed you. So do stuff 1, like this. Now it works fine. So I guess it will be enough for you to get the idea, and let me show you quickly what do I have in my project. So not quite very impressive demo, but here you can see I have interaction system. It's the folder that holds all of my interactable items. The base class is interactable base, and as you can see here, it has some nasty functionality like this, and from the interactable base I have derived other classes consumable base, which is for like pick up items that I can consume and restore some health, stamina, etc. Also, my save system is based on the interactable class. My checkpoints, my direct save points, like I have the box, and if I interact with it, I can call the function that will store my progress. So that's how it works. Sorry guys if this was not so entertaining, but I hope it will be quite helpful for lots of people. Please leave your feedback, subscribe if you like my videos. If you want, you can also support me via my Patreon channel, and see you soon.